really grateful to be here on the show with you.
Thank you. I think I have a few people that have interviewed from Australia, and I always feel bad because it's morning there. I remember one person, I think it was like 6 a.m. I was like, oh, you didn't have to get up at 6 a.m. for me, but like, no, I really want to be a part of it. So thank you, my Australians, for waking up and joining my show, including you, Carleigh. So thank you.
Well, no worries. For me, it's 9:30, so it's a very comfortable time in the morning. I'm a morning person. I've had time to do so many things already for the first few hours of the day. So yeah, it's I prefer recording in the morning, so it's my pleasure.
Oh yeah, I wish I can do that as well. Record, then go to the gym, then have sushi. That would be my epic
Yeah.
morning. So we're going to talk about today mental health, big topic, something that has gained a lot of steam over the last couple of years. I think probably since COVID, I want to say, right? Like it's been like a big focus. And you're going to mention a few things that I had to learn about, and many of them I had to learn how to pronounce in Freudian
In
cycle,
Freudian.
right?
One in Freudian.
Yes.
Yep.
Gold star for terrain, ladies and gentlemen. So do me a favor, please. Introduce yourself, tell my audience a little bit about who you are, and of course, where they can find you.
Absolutely. So, as mentioned, my name is Carleigh. I am deeply passionate about all things holistic healing and specifically holistic mental health. I hold a lot of different spaces in terms of coaching, running retreats, offering yoga, different things like that, which I'm so passionate about because they're all so deeply interconnected to the holistic version of how we can heal our minds and bodies. People can find me on my website at manasmastery.com. I'm manas.mastery on Instagram. And I'm sure there'll be some links underneath this episode where you can connect with me more deeply to check out the courses and all the wonderful offerings that I have online.
Perfect. So, first question, since it's your first time on the show, how did you get involved in the mental health space, and why?
Well, that is a very loaded question, and I could tell you my whole life story. But to sum it up in a very little nutshell, I basically grew up in a family with undiagnosed mental health, and it was never really spoken about when I was a kid. I had a very turbulent childhood. You know, from the outside, we looked very normal, middle class Canadian family, went to public school and all the things. But actually, it was a very dysfunctional home and really struggled with my mental health from a very young age. At the age of 12, I contemplated and planned to end my life, which is very young and is not something to be taken lightly when children are experiencing depression or suicidality. And then thankfully didn't act on it, moved in and out of all kinds of mental health struggles, disordered eating, substance abuse, crippling anxiety through all of my teenage and adolescent years. And finally, when I was 19, just 2 years after my dad experienced his mental health diagnosis, I learned that I have bipolar disorder. So the first 19 years of my life were a wild roller coaster. And when I experienced my first and only episode of mania at 19 years old, I decided that I didn't want medication and that I was going to find a way to truly heal. So from then I went on a really deep dive journey of learning how to heal my mind, of facing my biggest fears, of, getting my yoga teacher training and diving into holistic healing practices. And now it has been over 9, almost 10 years since I've had a depressive episode. I haven't experienced mania again. I've been living in a way that is completely medication free. I'm happy, healthy, high functioning. And basically, I know that it's my calling on this planet to show other people that it is possible to truly heal holistically, naturally, without medication, and to create a lifestyle around healing so you don't need to rely on anything outside of yourself. So that is why I'm now a mental health coach. That's why I'm so passionate about teaching others about this work, because it has transformed my life. And I am so blessed to witness the transformations that other people get to have all the time from diving into this work as well.
What do you then think are some of the behaviors maybe that are preventing people from identifying what they need from a mental health perspective?
I think so often we act based on how we're feeling right now, We want to, give ourselves quick comforts. We want to, eat the food that's going to be the tastiest, even if it's not the most nourishing. We're feeling a little bit anxious and we let that make decisions for us and we don't really push through that. Whereas instead, the thing that I have learned to be the most transformational is to start acting from a place of how you want to feel after you do the thing. So, for example, if you're feeling anxious and you're considering going for a walk or doing some exercise, but your brain really wants to just lay down on the couch and watch Netflix, obviously watching the Netflix is easier, but how are you going to feel after you do that? It's not going to make you feel any better. Whereas doing the hard thing, going for that walk, doing some exercise might be that little bit harder, might be pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, but the benefits are going to come after you do the thing. So I think, yeah, to answer your question in a nutshell, we often are acting from a place of how do I feel right now instead of a place of how do I want to feel an hour from now, tomorrow, a week from now, and making decisions from that place.
I remember I went through something similar, I believe, where I used to scroll on Instagram a lot, especially like let's say after work or after a long day. And then I was watching this video and they would actually track how long you're on social media. So I was like, okay, I'm curious now, right? So I went into Instagram at that time and I put up my activity hours. I was on it for almost 5 hours a day. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I look back and I was like, what did I do? Just liking and watching videos and posts. I didn't even realize 5 hours on average daily was passing me by. And to your
Wow.
point, it started to impact me because I could have used that 5 hours to expand my brand. I could use that 5 hours to go to the gym. I could have used those 5 hours, as I mentioned earlier, to have sushi, which I love and I wish I could have every single day of my life. But that's a story for another day. Or I could have just been working a part-time job earning money. I could have been doing
Yes.
something more constructive. And sometimes I look back on those situations, Carly, and I wonder, you mentioned what's easier. Could it be that what's easier is what we're just saying is a distraction from getting us
Mm.
where we would want to be, or worse yet, a distraction to getting us where we start identifying what we actually need?
Hmm. Yeah, well, I think you bring up a really good point thinking about what's easy. And I think I always used to say, or I always love to say that, healing is very, very simple. Really, when we break it down, it's very simple, but it's not always easy. And if we look at something long term, like you spending, 5 hours a day on Instagram, for example, in that moment, it probably feels really easy in the short term. It's an easy thing to do. You open your phone, you're there, you're engaged in getting that dopamine hit. And in that moment, that's a very easy thing to do. But then you look at long term, it's not easy to stay addicted to your phone and to be wishing that you had all this time to, like you say, build your brand or work a part-time job or go to the gym. Um, there's going to be challenges associated with both. And it's really, do you want an easy moment short term? Or do you want the rest of your life to be easier because you're willing to put in some work right now to do the thing that's going to benefit you later? So it's interesting when we think about what's actually easy. And you're right, it's an easy distraction as well.
Because at that point, if you're going to tell someone, okay, which one do you want to do? Do you want to sit on your sofa in your underwear, eating chips, pop, or just watching Netflix all day long? Or do you want to, let's say, okay, let's overcome some of the struggles that you're going through. Let's address your mental health. That second option seems such more difficult and more of a bigger decision. When it comes to mental health and the people that you work with, um, what are maybe some of the commonalities that impact them early on in their journey towards improving their mental health?
Do you mean before they start taking action or once they start? Yeah, before. I think the biggest thing that I see, and I work a lot with people who have chronic anxiety or generalized anxiety disorder, because I've found even with my diagnosis, I have diagnosis of bipolar, I have ADHD, I have all these things. Anxiety is the thing that is the most crippling, actually. And I think that the thing I witness the most is when people are really struggling with that, it's because they're not questioning the thoughts that come with anxiety. It's like something feels a little bit anxious and scary. And immediately the response is, I'm not going there. I'm turning away. I'm saying, nope, that's uncomfortable. And that actually, when you have that reaction to anxiety and you don't want to face it, it actually really shrinks your comfort zone and you continue leaning away from things that feel a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit scary until eventually it's like I've worked with people who literally don't feel comfortable going outside their house because maybe something happened once and they're afraid to go outside. And that's actually like a wildly common diagnosis, agoraphobia, from a fear of leaving your house, which can be overcome. And it's incredible when people overcome that. And I've witnessed people and guided people through overcoming that to the point that they could go for walks with their family and go out for lunch and do all these things they really wanted to do. But again, it's like the point of getting to that space where the world seems like such a scary place. What happens is you don't challenge that fear and you just